An introduction to vector masks in Photoshop for real sharp masks. Just going to create a quick background. Of course, you could use an image, but I've just used a gradient. So layer menu and vector mask, and then reveal all. That's it. That's all you have to do at first. And then what you can use pass. Now you can use pass with the pen tool as well as the curvature pen tool. So when you can see the pass panel there in the left. You can find that via the window menu. And there's a number of options. There's combine shape, subtract, intersect and exclude. With just one pass, they don't particularly make much sense. Though the subtract is quite useful. Make certain it's a path option there in the top left. And what you can do, just create a path. Just click on the document and highlight a particular part of the document. Now I'm using the combine option here. And what you can do if you want, you can reposition it. You don't have to keep it in the position you initially created it. So you can just drag it. You can add additional points as well. You can find other tutorials about the curvature tool on the Graphic Extras channel. And you can repeat that over and over again. Now, next thing to do, you can do subtract. So if you select subtract, what happens is instead of what you had before, just highlighting, basically you end up with a hole there. And likewise, intersect, you go back to near enough what the combine is, and exclude the same as the subtract. Obviously with one path, it doesn't make much sense. So I'm just going to go back to combine shapes. And now I'm just going to add an additional path. However, it's all being added, combined to the existing path. So you can see there, you've still got a single path. Now, if you go and select subtract at this point, it subtracts it. Now you can also go to that middle point again and select intersect. And then you end up with just showing the middle part just of the background. And you can do the same with the exclude. So you end up with just the bits that are excluded. Now what you can also do at this point, you can combine them completely, because at the moment you can see you've got this additional path which you can manipulate, but you can also just go to merge shape components and that just combines them completely together. Now you can't modify it. Now you can still modify the individual points, but you can't go back and change, subtract, etc. What you can then do, continue to add additional paths to that. And again, you see there's still only one single path. It's been combined. And you just go around, just add additional paths. You can also use, of course, subtract or intersect as well, if you wish, to create all kinds of weird and wonderful combinations of paths. Now I'm creating them further apart from the thing, but you can overlap. And just drag it up, cross over the existing one. And you just continue to add all the way around. And again, you can always continue to move the points, select the point and move them. You can see you've still got one single part and you can see the background. Now you've got a real sharp design there behind that. So what you can then do is go to Window and Layers and Pass. Just make certain you've got both those. And you can go to Edit and Transform Points. Now what will happen, it will just, you can use scale, rotate, etc. You will just manipulate the one that's currently selected. If you want to select all of the points, go there to the direct selection tool. So make certain you selected that and then select them all. Just go over the entire lot and they're all now selected. Now what you can do is you can go to the Edit menu and Transform Path and Scale or Perspective or Distort, Warp, etc. So let's distort. And you can manipulate the bounding box there. Just move that around to distort the path. And there's still the underlying part, the underlying image is unchanged. Still there. It's exactly the same as before. The gradient is still there. Of course, it could be an image as well, of course, or text. Doesn't have to be a gradient. You can go to Layer menu, Vector Mask, and you can delete the path if you don't want that mask anymore. You can also disable it, and you can unlink it. Now, I'm not going to do any of those, but there are options there. So you've got that vector mask. And what you can then do is go to Layer menu and Layer Style, if you wish, Bevel and Emboss. So now what you've got a bevel emboss that's been added to that. Of course, you've got styles as well. You can go to the window menu and styles. But you can also now add bevels, change the contour, you can also add drop shadows, change the colour, add gradients, etc. You can do all the standard things with layer styles, and they're all applied to that vector mask. And of course, you can still manipulate. You can go back to the curvature tool or the pen tool. And you can add additional, or you can manipulate the existing one. So you can just quickly add additional paths there. And it's all, again, the single path. It's been combined. But again, it will still have the style as well. So the style will be reflected the new path. And what you can then do, of course, you can go to Layer menu, and then go down to Layer Style, or manipulate it further, or you can rasterize it. So you can go to Rasterize, and you can use Vector Mask, Layer Style, but I'm going to go with the option for Layer. So the whole layer is being rasterized. Now, that means the mask is completely gone now. The mask, that's it. But you can now manipulate it further. You can say go to select it, select the entire layer, and then just duplicate it. So you can fill the screen, hold down the Alt or Option key, and drag. So you can fill the design with that repeated copies. Or maybe you could select that design, go to the Edit menu, and define pattern, or maybe edit and define brush. So you can use it as a source for a brush tool. Now you can also, I'm going to just quickly create another background. You can also use adjustment layers with masks, vector masks. So layer, layer menu, and new adjustment layer. Now I'm going to could go with any of those. Go with hue saturation, black and white. Hue and saturation, and of course you can manipulate all the colour there. But what you can do, you can make it black and white there. But what you can do is now, it's just a layer. It's just a standard layer. You can see it selected there as a layer on top of the existing layer. But you can go to Layer menu and Vector Mask and reveal all. And now what you can do, you can add a vector mask. So again, you can see that path appear there. There's an entry there for vector mask. And again, you can go back to the curvature tool or the pen tool. And then just again, use the combine, exclude, subtract exactly as before. So what will happen, instead of cutting through with, so you can see the background or anything, now what happens is only the part that's the combined, and the mask will be grayscaled or using the adjustment layer. The rest of the image will remain as before, completely untouched. And again, so you can build up a completely wonderful design just by, say, like highlighting particular points, make those black and white. And again, these points are still manipulable. So you can then just go use the curvature tool and just drag it around, move it around. So if you want to change your mask, it's always editable, and it's really sharp, editable design. And again, you can still modify the underline adjustment as well. So you can go to the properties, change the adjustment. So maybe you don't want black and white, you suddenly want it to be more red. Well, you can change that if you wish. But what you can also do, as much as before, you can go to Layer menu and Rasterize and Layer. So you've rasterized now the adjustment layer. And then what you can do, you can manipulate that and just move it around. So So you can see you move it around and the underlying image, the gradient, is still unchanged, but as you move it around, you can see the adjustment layer modifies, so you've got the black and white effect. Now, I'm just going to go back to a fresh document, and I'm going to show you the final one. This is now the layer menu and new fill layer. Exactly the same as, and of course you could do similar with smart objects and other things. But I'm just going to go with a gradient layer, gradient fill. So I'm just going to quickly select a gradient. Now, what you can do, you can change the gradient, you can manipulate it, set to radial, etc. Click OK. Now, once you've done that, you can go to a layer menu and vector mask and reveal all. And again, you can see in the path panel, a mask has been added there with a path. And again, you go to the curvature tool or the pen tool and just add your path. Just click on the document, and as you do that, what will happen? Rest of the document completely goes, vanishes at that point, and what you do, you just created it. Now this is using the combine option. You just got the gradient fill applied there, just to that mask. All the rest of it that's untouched by the mask is black, or the background. And you can repeat this. You don't have to add just one single, of course it's all one combined path, but you just can add additional parts to it. And again, you can go then change that to subtract. Instead of using the combine option, you can use subtract. So you can just cut it away. So you can just continue to do that. So you can make like a mottled design for that fill layer. And the fill design is still editable. So you can change that content as well. So it's not fixed. So it's live, so you can go and change it. And you go around and keep doing that. You can, of course, use the exclude and other options. You can go back to combine if you wish as well. And you can still manipulate the actual points. So every one of those points can still be changed. Go to the layers panel, go to the entry, double click the rectangle, the first part of that entry. And you can then manipulate the gradient fill. Select a different gradient, change the type, maybe linear, radial, etc. Once you're happy, click OK. That's a quick run through of vector masks for Photoshop for CC 220, 219, etc. Hope you found this of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extra channel, always in lots of tutorials about Photoshop, etc. Please add some comments, a dislike or like. Thank you much.